Well, hello everybody. It's Marcy Regan here, Colour Alchemist, and I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured to have Yvonne Griffin here to have a little conversation, because we were talking, the last few weeks actually, about the importance of living your dream life and what tools can help us to realise that. As most of you know, actually, I see you're all followers of me here that are watching it live, but those watching the replay, this year is a very important year because it's associated with the vibration of red. And this is really, really about living your mission. I'm just going to... living your mission. It's about ensuring, actually, we are being called upon, because we're starting a new 9-year cycle, and we really are being called upon to step into living our mission, but living our dream life, and what would that look like. And I was introduced to Yvonne only about 2 or 3 months ago, and she came to Brussels to give a workshop on future life progression. And this is why I wanted to have this call, because I thought it's perfect timing for a number of reasons. Being the year that's in it, we're just into January. January as a vibration is also associated with red, so it's a very important month for setting foundations into setting you up for having a great 9 years ahead. And I also have seen that there has been another veil lifted between the spirit and physical world. So now our thoughts are very, very much going to come to fruition. So we need to be much more mindful of our thoughts. And we also need to be more mindful about what other resources are out there that could really, really help us. So I just would like you, before I keep on going, because I could talk forever about FLP and my experience, but I'll just introduce you to Yvonne first, because Yvonne is your lady who will really talk about what tools she's using at the moment that can really help you live your soul mission. I'm just going to mute everybody, and then I'll remute you again because I see this. Let me see. Mute on entry. Okay, I'm going to mute entry people on entry. I can hear lots of background music, background noise. So Yvonne, over to you.
Hi everybody. It's lovely to be here with you. You asked Marcia what tools I'm using, and maybe if I could just give people an overview in terms of where I'm coming from. I've been working for over 20 years as a transformational trainer and coach, and in the last number of years as a therapist. And what I have really been trying to do is to take tried and tested training and coaching and integrate into it various types of therapy that I feel will help individuals to go the full circle in the transformation process. So what I did do, my background really is in change management initially, worked quite a lot in the corporate world, moved very much then into the social economy, worked with quite an amount of people from all different backgrounds in helping them to transform their lives. And in my journey, I discovered that, each and every one of us is the same, but more importantly, that there are 4 facets to us, and that we're made up of body, mind, emotion, and spirit. And if we don't look at the 4 elements of us in a transformation process, then the complete circle is not closed properly. And what I found really on my journey, I trained in my master's is in education and it's psychology based, but I trained as a Louise Hay teacher and coach on my journey, and then I did some NLP coaching. And in the therapy, when what I found really, to be honest, was that people were saying to me, I know I need some therapy. Is there any way that you could help me? They actually they were comfortable in working with me through a process, but I found trying to get everybody that needed to work with the therapist to go forward, I was finding it difficult. So I thought, well, if I go and I have a look at therapy myself, and I was very much inclined to do that anyway, if I have a look at that and see what's out there that I could help people, And that brought me into training in various different modalities, such as EFT, matrix re-imprinting, side tap, psychosensory techniques. And the one that was missing, I suppose, I also looked at Reiki and went to intermediate level of Reiki and IET. And what really, I suppose, closed the loop for me in the whole process was when I was introduced to FLP, Future Life Progression. And how that came about was that I was actually at a course in the UK doing matrix re-imprinting, and a girl that I was speaking with, she said to me, I'm very stuck in my life. And I said to her, look, when the program is over, let's sit and let's chat. And I worked with her through blocks that she had, and she was absolutely delighted at the success that she had in such a short time. And she just said, you know, would you consider Future Life Progression? And I had not heard of it. And my first inclination was, Future Life Progression? How could Future Life Progression work? When I was 5 or 6, when I was sitting at home one evening watching a quiz program on the TV with my parents and siblings, there was a question asked, and it said, what's this music from? And there was like a few seconds played from the music when I immediately said, that's the Coronation. And my mum looked at me and she said, what are you talking about? And the answer to the question was the Coronation. Now, I had no idea what a coronation actually meant, but I had the answer. And that kind of, not at that stage, but as years went on, and you know, my interest in reincarnation grew, and my interest in you know, finding more as to why was I able to answer that question at 5 years of age. And I had big interest then in past life regression, and I had thought about studying with Dr. Brian Weiss in New York, and went so far as to put my name on a waiting list. So it wasn't obviously meant to be. But when I heard about the Future Life Progression, it intrigued me, and I thought, well, maybe there's something in this. So I went as fast as I could to get on the internet and had a look. And to make a long story short, I contacted Anne Gersh, who's actually the pioneer of Future Life Progression. She has wrote numerous best-selling books on the subject, and she has many years of research done in the area. So I took myself off to train with her to become a practitioner, and then I wanted to do the advanced practitioner level. It's a bit more intricate than the basic practitioner level, but I could still work with clients quite quickly after I trained anyway. And I really saw, to be very, very honest, I really saw how Future Life Progression can close the loop. And
what is Future Life Progression? Do you want to just give people a bit of an insight into Future Life Progression and how it could help them in living, in bring them closer to living the dream life that they don't know they deserve to have?
Absolutely. What Future Life Progression is, it's a combination of NLP, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, and meditation. And something I forgot to add into the equation, so I trained as a clinical hypnotherapist myself as well. But what I found is that when I started to work with this, it was just amazing in that you can go through a process of transformation and, you know, learn to reframe your thought process, move from being stuck in the past. And, you know, as Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the way, you know, things change. And that's very, very true. But, you know, what's Future Life Progression? What was it about? Well, I could give you an example. It's used for everything. I'll speak about that shortly. But in terms of my own experience with my clients, what I found was that I was taking people through a transformation process, whether it was through training or coaching or a combination of both. And I was able to take people say to them, look, let me do Future Life Progression with you, and let's have a look at what your life will be like in 5 years' time. And let's get some advice from your future self, your higher self, as to what you could do to create a better life. So that's what I started to do with my clients. And then I was able to take them into taking the advice from their future self and say, okay, well, let's go into creating your best future. And what will the best future for you be like in 5, 10 years' time, etc., if you go on and you do this? Now, what it meant was, I can honestly say this, what it meant was that people would go into this and say, yes, you know, I'm delighted. I've really helped, you know, you've helped me to shift blocks. I've increased my confidence. I've more self-esteem. I'm not stuck in the past. I can breathe better. I know I'm aware of consciousness, all of these areas. But what it has done for me is I now have had the opportunity to take a glimpse at my future and see how I can create it. And I have the tools to go and do that. So really what future life progression is, it enables you to take a glimpse at the future. And it goes right across the board. It's not just in terms of people, using it in the transformation process solely. You can use it for all areas. There are Anne Jersh, as I said, who's the pioneer who trained me. She has a credit on the film, I think it's Mothers and Daughters with Sharon Stone, because the film director just said to her that he was blown away by how she was able to use future life progression with him to find the best actors and actresses, etc. And he's noted and quoted as saying that she has saved him more money than any of his accountants could ever do. So, I mean, it's used, as an example of it being used in Hollywood, it has been used by bankers to forecast trends. It has been used by school teachers for career guidance. It has been used by pupils I've used it for pupils in university to have a look at what the best subjects are and where to go even on their co-op and things like that. It's used in terms of finding your best home for you. An array of many areas, really, But what I love about future life progression really is that, and I started to use this quite quickly, was that, when I'm working with my clients, we often wonder, is something really, I take them back to childhood and we're having a look at what's going on in the childhood, but very often there can be stuff in our DNA from ancestral memories. And we could also, as you know, bring in some karmic stuff from previous lives. So with the FLP, I'm able to take a client into an altered state of consciousness, which is akin to daydreaming, and I can help them to identify, like, where's that block coming from? Is it actually the childhood? Is it a combination of childhood and DNA? Is it from past life? So that has been absolutely amazing and has helped tremendously. And the fact that science has proven that it is, if you look at the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton and the biology of beliefs and what he's speaking about there, and how, that it has been proven now that memories can be stuck from our ancestral memories, can be stuck with the DNA. So the crap, basically, that our ancestors didn't deal with, we could be stuck with. And I'm finding that that's coming out of it as well. And what I'm also finding, which is absolutely wonderful, is that when you're trained as an FLP practitioner, you're also trained in regression. And this is what I love, because, as I say, my goal initially was to go to train with Dr. Brian Weiss. I've absolutely no need to do that now, because I'm trained also in past life regression. So what I find a lot is that if my clients, if there's a block and there's a need from a previous life or whatever, to go and look at an alternative, an alternate life, then we can go, the clients are actually taken back to that before they're taken forward. For example, one of my clients during the week, she was interested to know about her work in 5 years' time, what exactly was happening, is FLP for her, should she give up the job that she's in, a whole pile of things. And she said, I really want to do this session for myself. And when I asked her, expecting her to say that it was the year 2022, I said, what year are you in? And she said, I'm in 1710. So she was gone right back. And it was to her parallel life in terms of what she was shown when she went back was that how that the life that she had there was impacting, and she didn't learn the lessons associated with that life. So we were able to identify what was the key learning there and what were the similarities in this lifetime and how they were impacting on her life. And, after the session, she said to me, that makes huge sense, because I can see now what that lady, and she was actually a lady then, what that lady was going, the way that she lived her life, and how it's similar for me, and how I'm creating the same scenarios and the same patterns and the blocks that I'm putting up for myself. And then I was able to take her forward into 2022 based on what came out of the past life session. And from there, I was able to take her into her best future life in 2022. And there were great similarities between the two. But she was saying that what was absolutely fantastic is the questions that she had, she got answers to. She came out of the session much more confident and much more, she said, focused and determined and motivated to go forward and to make the decision that she had already wanted to take, but was fearful of doing. So that would give you one example of how future life regression can help.
So I think as well, just to keep it to the topic as well about, so like, you know, about the FLP, just, you know, we were talking about dreams. So I think what you're saying too is that to be able to live our dreams and have the life that we know deep down we deserve to have, we really have to, sometimes it's not just about what we see happening in our lives, that it's associated with past lives, it's associated with DNA. Memory, with many different levels, and I'm actually seeing the exact same thing as you, that and particularly in the last year, that what is coming up to be healed, and I feel it's part of all our missions of us living in this lifetime now, we're having to clear all our ancestral patterns. And what that will mean is it's an old paradigm, and it's specifically important now to do that because we're in a brand new cycle. And if we do that for ourselves, then we will be able to do that for our children's children. And if you think about when we are born, like when we're conceived, we are conceived by the egg of our mother. So our mother's memories and her thoughts and her feelings and so she came from her mother's ovary, then we would have, like back then, you know, just even 100 years ago, they came from wars. So, you know, they were fearing for their lives. There's a lot of, you know, money issues, a whole heap of other patterns that are playing here in the background that our generation are being called upon to clear, and that will enable us to really live our dream life. Because what I love about the work as well that you're doing, Yvonne, is that you are then able to say, right, this is where you are. You were able to look back to see what maybe could be playing in the background, but then you were able to tap into your own unique wisdom, which we have, and which we're being called on for the next 9 years, to tap into our inner wisdom and guidance and know that there's just more possible for us than we realize. And you have the ability, using FLP, to take somebody 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and see for yourself, first of all, what's possible. Would you like that? And advice about what would it, for that to be your life, what advice does your own wisdom have for you to integrate?
Absolutely. And I think it's one thing there as well, Marcia, you spoke about the maternal side and the egg. It's important as well to understand that, like the DNA can come right down the paternal side, as you know, it's right down through both ancestral lines.
Yes.
Mother and father, so maternal and paternal side. Absolutely. And I mean, for the people listening in and those that will join later on, you know, I've been saying to you, how many times did you say to yourself, where is this coming from? It just doesn't make sense. There's no reason why this should be affecting me. You know, and I can see it in the work that I do. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. You know, I mean, this morning it's very much about saying, you know, live the life, live your life and achieve your dreams. I would be saying to you to look at really what's going on for yourself and to know really, like, we come in here for soul's evolution and to grow. And, you know, your soul has been here time and time again, as it's been proven to us. And it has all of the information and all of the memories of previous lives for you. But what is it that you're meant to for this life? What are your learnings in this life? What cloak, as I always refer to it as, what is the cloak that your soul is wearing? Why are there patterns repeating in your life? And when I became an FLP trainer, and I'm so passionate about helping people to look at who am I in this life? Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? Where am I going to? And I saw with FLP, yes, this is absolutely an incredible technique. What I want to do is to take the practitioners that I'm training, not only through a process where they're working, where they will develop all the skills to be an FLP practitioner, fully certified, but they will also have the opportunity to work on themselves. Because what I have found in my time of working and with many therapists and healers and people from all walks of life, that we're very good to help other people and to try and find out what exactly is wrong for a person and how we can help them. But it's back to them, you know, yourself. What is it for yourself? And I've spent many years really working on myself. You know, we're learning on an ongoing basis. And I don't think there'll ever come a day where I'd say I know everything about myself. That's not possible. But I certainly have spent an awful amount of time in looking at who I am. You know, what am I? Where am I going to? What's the cloak that my soul is wearing? What are the lessons that I'm meant to be learning? You know, and when I have looked at that and learned an awful lot from it, I was able to look at other people through different eyes and see, you know, that everybody is on their own journey, you know, learning their own lessons. But more importantly, because I knew mine and I understood what other people's lessons tend to be, that I could help my clients much more. So I'm quite passionate about FLP. Absolutely, I think it's incredible. I mean, I put a lot of my work on hold because of FLP. It just seems to have got legs and ran. You know, because I mean, at least 8 people out of 10 who I do a session with ask if I would train them to be a practitioner, because whether they're coming from, like I've an engineer, there's a medical doctor wants to train, I have an engineer coming with me, scientists, all different people from all different backgrounds, because they can see how they can integrate FLP into their own work. You know, and whether you're coming from using it as a healer, a therapist, or whatever you come from, bottom line is, it's very important that you stop and you say, well, I need to work on myself. And the more that we work on ourselves, then the better the therapist or practitioner we can be. And also, you know, you look at consciousness and the fact that, you know, that everything is recorded in the matrix. It's called the matrix, the aura, the tori. There's all different names, but the bottom line is that we are pure consciousness. And we have an energy field. We're surrounded by our own energy field. And in that energy field is everything has been recorded from conception. So what we need to do is to be aware of that and say, well, where are certain things coming from? This has not, for example, this has not been an experience. You might say, this hasn't been an experience in my life. Well, if it hasn't been an experience in this lifetime for you, it may have been an experience that your forefathers have experienced, or you may have experienced it in past lives. And this is why I think FLP is absolutely fantastic, because not only does it give us the opportunity to take people forward, it gives us the opportunity to help them to clear blocks through their DNA and their past lives as well. And as I say to you, I'm really passionate about helping everybody that I work with. So the practitioners that work with me, I am passionate about helping them to look at their own stuff as well. And I know that general FLP will do that incredibly well. But I want to go more into getting people to become more self-aware, develop themselves, and then empower them. I mean, I have come across incredible people in over 20 years who have great skills. They could bring so much to the world, but they just don't have that self-belief, or they have a guilt hanging over them, or they have regrets, or they have forgiveness issues, or whatever it is. And that one small thing, the memories will trigger for them, or something will trigger, and they could be all set up to go really, really well, and then boom, they've lost it. Or there's some issues going on in their life, and we all have them, but there's something going on that's overwhelming them and taking over their life. And because it's taking over their life, and they're allowed their thought process to impact so much in their life, then it's impacting on every other area, such as work, etc. So if you have a lot of stuff going on here, as 99% of us do, how can you detach from that in a way? How can you deal with what you need to deal with yourself in such a way that you can be the incredible therapist or practitioner or whatever it is that you are out there in the world, and whatever hat you wear in your work? What is it that you need to do? I mean, I have found as well, that a lot of people, while we strive to live in the present moment, because that's where the point of power is, I have found that many people are either stuck in the past because they're recreating memories on an ongoing basis from the past. Now, DNA also can come into this, but generally, they can be living in the past. And when you live in the past, then depression sits in, where you're fed up and, you get up in the morning and you say, gosh, this is really great and I'm grateful for this, and you make out your gratitude list, and all of a sudden a song comes on or somebody says something and you find that you're back in past memories again, and then your energy is pulled down. And like, what I would love to do is to get people to look at that. You tend to live in the past, or even those that I come across that live in the future. Now, how do you know you're living in the future? You're building bridges. These people are tending to get panic attacks. They're very hard on themselves. They ask a lot of questions. They find it difficult to trust in the process because all the time it's a fear of the unknown. So and they also have a fear of chaos, and that brings on more problems, that brings on anxiety and panic attacks if you tend to do that. So I would be trying very much to get people into looking at the present moment and to value very much their skills and, you know, who they are as individuals. And each and every one of us have got incredible abilities. We've got great skills, each of us, and innate abilities. Each of us come into this world with a gift to mankind. But unfortunately, many go out the other side with the music still in their bones. And what I love to do is to help anybody that comes in front of me to identify the music that they're meant to be playing and play it with joy and with fun and with gratitude. And that they, when they go to take their last breath, that they have made a difference and they have made the mark in the world that they came here to make. I love to do that. I love to get people looking at like what is their chatterbox? How did they give credence to their chatterbox? All that kind of a thing. You know, and really, I suppose it get people to understand as well that heart feels before the mind thinks. And we looked at it years ago. I coined a phrase called TFA, and I joked, you know, it's not tax-free allowance, guys. It's thoughts, feelings, and actions. How your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings create your actions. And if you think positive, you feel positive, you do positive things. And on my journey and studying with heart math and breathing from the heart area, it's very, very important to understand that science has now proven that the heart feels before the mind thinks. And if we can get into the habit of breathing from our heart, then we're there. When you breathe from your heart is made from the purest of love. So when you're breathing and learn to breathe from your heart and work from your heart, then no negativity can get in there. And it's about looking at that and developing skills in that area as well. You know, there's lots of things that we can do. I believe that everybody can achieve their dreams. We just need to move from either being stuck in the past or stuck in creating a scenario in the future, and live in the present moment. And that can be very, very difficult. And I mean, I know really, I know what it's like to have had serious trauma in my life and to learn how to overcome it. And if I'm teaching people how to forgive and to truly forgive, then I wouldn't be authentic unless that I learned how to truly forgive. And I know what it's like to have the knife put in and to be twisted around and to really feel the pain. And, you know, and I did learn, and it took me a while, but I did learn the skills of forgiveness, and more importantly, the necessity to really feel and to work from your true self. And again, that's what I love about FLP, is that the authenticity of it is just amazing. You know, I mean, I've worked with people and helping them to develop their intuition and to develop their sixth sense. And I mean, I know of many people who are very authentic and give readings to people. And I would say no better, and I mean, I could do it if I wanted to, but no better way to put somebody into a slightly altered state through future life progression, let them connect with the wisdom of themselves and give themselves the answers. There is no need for anybody else, just themselves, to be facilitated in the process where they can get the answers themselves. And I'm saying FLP does that. And that's why I really, you know, I founded the FLP Academy. And Gersh, I'm one of the first of the 10 trainers in the world that she's trained. There are very few of us that are out there doing this. And I was getting my own website. I changed, when I incorporated therapy, I said, okay, well, I'm about transformation. So I was setting up a website called Transform to Heal. It actually had to get put on hold. FLP was meant to be a link from that website, that it was a tool in my toolkit. And what has happened is, because people are loving it and getting so much benefit from it, that I set up the FLP Academy, and it has just got legs in it because it's incredible. And Marcia, you know yourself, you were one of the people that I worked with in Brussels. And what I absolutely love about your session in particular, you had a great session, was, and it's a great story, in that Marcia, as most people probably know, is that Marcia has 3 kids. And she asked me if I would do an FLP session with her husband. And I thought, yes. And to be honest, I haven't said this to you, Marcia, but this part, I said, oh gosh, I've never done this before now. What's going to happen here? And I was a bit nervous. But Marcia had her session, and then it was a case of hand over the 3 kids and leave her husband come in. They had absolutely no time to converse high up and low down, and they both saw the same thing.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely fantastic. You know, they just didn't. And I stood there, and as I say, I'm very authentic. I say it as it is. And it's just, I watched to see if they would have any chance to say Isa or O to each other, and I didn't want that to happen.
Oops, a minute. Sorry, hold on a minute. Someone, I'm going to have to, I'll just cut her off 1 minute. No, no, it never happens. 1 minute. I'm on a call. I'll ring you back in 2 minutes, or in 15 minutes. Okay, I'll ring you back in 15 minutes. One.
Technology is great when it works. So yeah, but I mean that I loved that, and I mean I've had fantastic sessions. Even I came back from Brussels. I've had on an ongoing basis. You know, I mean I could talk forever with a mother of a young girl rang me. I'll just tell you the story quickly. She rang me. She said, my daughter's a bit down on herself, but really she doesn't know what topics to choose for her baby. Could you do a session with her? And I saw you speak about FLP on your Facebook page. I said, absolutely, bring her over to me. But what transpired was, when I did the consultation with the young girl, is that she had a fear of the dark. And I said to her, well, which would you prefer? She said she was getting up at night and locking herself in the bathroom, and she couldn't understand why. And she was embarrassed when her friends would come over because she had to leave the light on. And to make a long story short, I took her into an FLP session. And we found what the problem was. And it was coming through ancestral memories, believe it or not. And we cleared it, and absolutely it was incredible, really incredible. I had another girl that contacted me and said, I have tried to have a family. I've tried IVF treatment. I'm thinking about adopting, even fostering. I really don't know where I'm going. I really would love to know what is my future. And one of the first things I said was that, with the FLP, it's for your greater good. You'll never ever be shown anything that you're not meant to be shown. That's very important to understand, is that your higher self will never show you anything that you're meant to know. And you will, and I said to her, you'll only be a mom if you're meant to be a mom. And it's important to keep that in mind as well. But I did the session with her, and what blew us away was that, yes, she went forward in 5 years. She said they would adopt one baby. But in 5 years, they had two. And she said that wasn't in the plan at all. But she was over the moon. And she said, that was incredible for her to see. And not only that, she was able to see the nationality of these children. She wondered where should she be adopting. She was going to adopt. She got all the answers to this. Another girl is giving up her work in the legal. She's been working in the legal area for many, many years. And she is given serious consideration to opening up her own business as a therapist this year. And she said, it's a huge decision for me because I've made a career for myself in this area. And I want to know, without a shadow of a doubt, if it's the right thing to do. And I'd also love to know about my love life. Is there a man on the scene? So I said, fine, let's go have a look at it. And I did that session with her, and she got the answers to the questions. She got very specific answers as to what she should do for her future self, the advice. I asked the questions, what does she need to do? Where does she, all these, whatever questions were relevant, I asked. She got the answers. And she said, I'm so motivated, I'm so confident, and I'm so determined that I know that I can succeed. I know the pitfalls that I could fall into. And yes, I am going to start my own business without a shadow of a doubt. And that has answered all the questions for me.
And
forever.
Yvonne, the other thing as well is that it proves as well that, you take people through that process. But at the end of the day, we have the choice. So we have to go away then and apply the advice that our future self has given us to help make that come to fruition.
Yeah, that's a good point, Marcia. See, what we will do in the future, what we can do is you can take somebody into the future 5 years and say, well, if you continue on the path that you're on right now, what will your life be like in 5 years' time? And then you can ask the person, we ask very important questions like, did you have any regrets? Now that you have hindsight, did you do anything different? All these kind of things. And you can get very valuable advice. You can take that advice back, and I can take you as part of the session, or the practitioners will be training, into a life in 5 years where you have listened to the advice. Now, you may not necessarily like that life either, because I could speak about my own experience. When one of the sessions I went into, I went down the road, saw what my life would be like in 5 years, got the advice of my future self. The therapist I was working with, the practitioner I was working with, took me into an alternative life in 5 years. If I had taken on board what the advice would be if I went on the same route. Now, this is important to understand. And when I went into my best future life, one thing that I came out with was I was not happy with the alternative life, if that makes sense. And the advice I was getting was based on if I went down the road that I'm on now. That was the advice I got. So when I went into the alternative life, and then I looked at what advice there and create my best future life. I absolutely loved it. But I learned from that process that you don't always necessarily say, I mean, there was nothing wrong with it, don't get me wrong, but I just knew that the future life was much, much more that I could do with my life and be more fulfilled. I have a habit of allowing work to take over my life, because I love what I do. I'm very passionate about it, and I forget about me time in the process. And when I came into the second alternative life, it showed me how I was really, really successful and how my work had taken over. But when I went into the third and my best future life, I had learned to get the balance right. And I had learned the importance of myself and valuing myself and doing things for me. And that was very, very important. So, we can learn so much from it.
And is there a technique maybe you could just introduce people, take people through that could help them now to take maybe to help them in their daily life, to put them in a good place, or to help them balance or do something. And then maybe after that you can talk about maybe the future life progression training that's coming up in Ireland, because Yvonne is based in Limerick, but she's actually going to be doing training in Galway, and I'll be flying over from Brussels to do this training because I was so blown away by the future life progression session that I had. In fact, I went to you were giving a workshop. I went to the workshop, and she pulled me out as a person to work on. And I had never heard anything about FLP. Just through my friend actually wanted to rent our space, our holistic centre, because Yvonne was coming over, and I thought I had nothing planned that day. And I asked Pierre if he would mind the kids, and I could go down and attend. And I was really surprised when she pulled me out. And in fact, the seat was my seat. The seat actually, I went to the toilet, came back, and the seat was available, and there was only one seat left, which was for me. And what I found interesting was, and this is kind of worth thinking as well, that sometimes we think our mind tells us that, oh yeah, it's your imagination, it's your, that's not going to really happen. But basically, anyway, in this demonstration that Yvonne did on me, I was taken 5 years time, and I was taken into this room, lovely room, but it had very heavy, French furniture. And I was actually working, and I'm sure a lot of you here will know Ashley Mooney, who I collaborate with, and I was working with her. But again, I was working a lot. And then, and I really was delighted. Everything was really great. But I felt, it was like that old French heavy furniture. It was like there was a bit of heaviness there. So I came back out, and she took me back out. And then Yvonne said, right, let's go to your best version of your future self. So I went back, I went into this other door, and through this other door, I went into this amazing room, this white, very white walls. Everything was very, very light, and a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful house. And I was thinking, and I saw myself sitting down, having fresh orange juice, drinking tea out of a china cup, fresh fruit. And I thought, God, I'm not rushing at all. I'm like, because I'm telling you now, with 3 kids under 6, I'm in the morning, it's go, 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 go. But then I realized actually afterwards, thinking, of course, my kids are going to be a bit older, so I'm not going to have that intensity that I'm having now with them being so young. But then I saw 3 curved steps, and I saw a beautiful kind of orchard, an amazing house. I was thinking, this is a mansion. And Yvonne asked me, is this your house? I said, yes. And I'm working from my house. I'm doing retreats. I'm doing VIP days. But I have a very good work-life balance. And I came out of it anyway, and I felt amazing. I think when you asked what my future self had to tell me, it was to trust and be visible. And to be honest, it was completely apt, because that's, in the last probably 6 months, I've become very, very visible in the work that I'm doing, because I got that guidance anyway, which was good to have it a second time. And when I came out then, there was another friend in the room, and she said to me, I saw your house, and it had 3 curved steps. I did not tell her that I saw this house that had 3 curved steps. And that confirmed to me that, wow, this wasn't just my imagination, because I was beginning to think, this is my mind. Can this be true? And that's why I went on and then did a one-on-one with Yvonne afterwards. And then I thought, straight after I got my husband to have one. And that one was very interesting, because what I was taken there was when we went in, it was a very different experience. And I was taken straight to 2017. And 2017, the message I got was I needed to concentrate in our holistic centre a bit more. And then I was taken from there straight to 2021, and I was in Ireland in transition. And I saw my brother and his girlfriend, but they were married, and a doty little 2-year-old little boy, I can still see him, with lovely silky brown hair. But I felt a bit uneasy because, and Yvonne was asking, she said, where, how are you feeling? I said, I'm a bit uneasy because it feels like Pure Land has gone ahead somewhere, and I'm renting this space in Ireland, but I don't know where, it's the fact that I don't know where he's gone is making me a bit uneasy, and it's somewhere that I've never been before, so I don't know I don't know what life is going to be like. And then straight after that, I went to 2029, and I saw this river with a forest. I was standing up in this big kind of conference room or seminar, and I was standing beside someone very well known, and the person that I saw kind of relates to is Marianne Williamson, and I was walking with her, and Yvonne asked me, where are you? And I was like, Quebec in Canada. I have never been to Quebec in Canada. So anyway, then I can't remember what I loved was that you integrated the advice. I think again the advice was all about trust, I think, if I remember rightly. And believing it. And so you integrated that in, and then I left because I was rushing off getting my kids. And then Pure Land came in, and he saw the exact same thing. He saw a river, he saw a forest, he got the Quebec, but he didn't get the year. So if you think, my God, so there were kind of two different scenarios there that proved to me that this isn't something that I can make up, because someone else in the room who I'd be very close to, who saw the exact same as me. And then my husband, who we hadn't talked about in between the session, basically got the same thing as me. It was like mind-blowing. And this is why I thought I want to train in this, because I feel, to be honest, I'm kind of doing similar things. I'd asked my guides, I thought, I haven't done any training in a long time. All my training has come from my guides. And I said to my guides 2 weeks before I was introduced to Yvonne, I said, look, I'd love to do something that would just enhance what I already do, and just to follow a course, rather than you just channeling me to me all the time. And 2 weeks later, I came across Yvonne. And so anyway, I'm going to Ireland on the weekend of the 3rd of March to do this training. And this is why I kind of said to Yvonne, look, I'm so passionate about this, having seen the benefits myself. And I'm already seeing things starting to come into my life from the work that we've already done. And I feel it would really enhance any modality, and I think it's a great tool even to use for my kids, rather than going into the mind about what they should be doing. Now I can go into them and go into the feeling and take them through that process to help them in their lives to live their dream. And as parents, I think too, those of you who are parents, it starts with us. We have to show up and live our dream, to give our kids permission that they can live their dream. So if you could just share maybe, a small technique or something that could help people to, even just to ask themselves if FLP could be something that is what's going to help them realize their dream.
Absolutely. Just I would say, based on what you were saying there, that I omitted to say, is that when you take somebody into the future and they are creating, and you can see apart from the REM movements that they're in this whole scenario, and when they have really happy and they're smiling about what they're seeing, we lock into every cell, molecule, and atom in their body. We lock this energy in, and we bring the person back into the present moment with that future energy. You know, and it's incredible how fast it actually goes to play, because, you know, the universe, your wish is my command. It's like the genie in the bottle. So they already have set the intention that this is the life that they're wishing to create, which is absolutely wonderful. Now, in terms of, it's very difficult. I mean, future life progression, as I said, is based on NLP, timeline therapy, meditation, and hypnotherapy. And what we do is we put somebody into a slight altered state of consciousness. And it's true, it's from that process, and their eyes are closed. It's like akin to daydreaming. And you have the rapid eye movement for most people. That's how we say, you know, we can test that they're actually in the altered state. So it's quite difficult for me to give maybe a full picture of what's happening. But in terms of yourself and the tips for yourself, I would say to you that, I mean, there are a few things. I mean, I'm sure you know about like the gratitude list, and when you're, you know, taking 2 minutes in the morning to just say, what am I grateful for today? Because that's the vibration of it. But if you could, you know, have something next to your bed that I do to remind me every morning to start my day on a high vibration, because you have the escalation of the vibration. But if, you know, when things are begin to come up from us, whether I spoke earlier on about memories and about different things from the past, you know, if you find that there's a lot of stuff going on in the head, then that's where trauma tends to initiate from. And if you know, if you say, oh, my chest catches me, I catch, you know, I'm fearful, and the person is putting their hand here, you tend to put your hand there. That's where fear initiates from, and anxiety comes in the stomach. So maybe just a tip in terms of watch that. Do you tend to, you know, things are popping in the head? Is the head area, is the chest area, is the stomach area? So you have anxiety in the stomach, fear in the chest, and trauma in the head. Another tip that I would give you as well is that, you know, worry, a lot of people worry, even though like worry is a sustained form of fear which can be eliminated. And, you know, we do a lot in terms of worry bursting and all of that. But if something pops up for you and you tend to get a bit worried about something, if you squeeze your thumb, there for a second for me, Mark.
You could think maybe of some worry.
Make you worry, exactly. And just squeeze your thumb for a moment. See if you can think about that. And how does it feel? Because when you squeeze it, you see we're working with the meridians in you can't bring it up. And yeah, when you release the thumb, you know, it's only while it's working, but you could squeeze it. I mean, there are different ones, you know, there might be some people listening in who tend to get panic attacks because they're living in the present moment. They're living in the future time instead of the present moment. Squeeze your middle finger. If you tend to panic, you squeeze the middle finger, and that helps you cannot bring back up the feeling associated with the panic. There are different ones and different fingers associated with different things. They're just a little tip for people. I would be saying to you in terms of just be mindful of your thoughts. Do you tend to live in the past, or do you tend to live in the future? Try to live in the present moment. The breath is the best present that we got. It's very important to learn to breathe from your heart. It reaches huge dividends. Be mindful of your chatterbox. You know, tell your chatterbox to stop, because the chatterbox can take over your life for you. And when you learn to reframe your thought process, is that thought serving you well? The thoughts that you're thinking right now are creating your future. Is the thought that you're thinking at this very moment going to create a good future for you? So become more mindful of your thoughts, and, you know, be aware of what's happening. That there is, if you find yourself questioning around, you know, different experiences or memories in your life, and you say, I don't know why I have this. It doesn't necessarily mean that there was something in your childhood that created this. It can be through the memories, through the DNA, and it can be passed on. And also think about the fact that, yes, you create your own life. You have been given that beautiful gift of being able to create your own life. And in a future life progression session, you will be shown quite clearly how to do that. You will be given tips and advice, and you take that back and you use that. And as you rightly pointed out, Marcia, what happens then is it's up to you to put everything, in place. Now, the universe has already taken it from you and knows that's what you wish to create. But you have to help that through your action. So it would be about, you know, having a good ritual for yourself every day, and realize that you are an incredible being, you know, that's capable of anything that you wish to put your mind on, because you are 100% energy, and each and every one of us are made of pure love. It's important to remember.
Yeah, and it's to find as well one simple you know, because a lot of people would say, oh, you need to meditate. And, you know, for me, I have 3 young children. I have no time to meditate. But what I do is I do a couple of things that bring me joy. So it might just mean that 5 minutes before I would go and pick up the kids, I would sit in the couch and just breathe, call my energy back that I've all given and focused in, and bring it back into my body. And so the key and essential part I think of now, because the energies are so high at the moment, because it's like Spirit is saying there is no more time to waste. You are being called upon, every single person on this call and everybody watching the replay, you are being called upon to listen to this, because it's now your time to live your dream. They don't want us to delay anymore. Why is that? Because who we are and what we're doing is making an impact in the world, because we're all connected. So it's our responsibility to live our dream, to give permission to others to live their dreams, to hold a space for people, to help people. So just for me, it's like 5 minutes that when I feel called to just concentrate on my breath, call my energy back. The other thing is, my favorite thing to do is to go to my local coffee shop. They do gorgeous organic coffee, and sit down and enjoy that coffee. So, you know, cooking, I love. That is my another way that I feel I connect. And that's when I get downloads. That's when I get, you know, guidance, or simply just driving the car. So don't put yourself under pressure. I think it's important to be mindful about what you're doing and how you're living your day. What is it creating for you now?
And like say, like, what is your dream? What is it for you? What do you want for you? We get very much stuck on trying to help others, being and wearing the hats that we are, whether it's a parent or a colleague or whatever it is that we're, you know, that we are. It's like taking time out for yourself. And as Marcia said, she has different things that she does that makes her connect with who she is. But it's important that you pick pick the things that are good for you.
Yeah.
You joy. And I mean, when you're you know, I'm always saying this, your attitude determines your altitude. And, you know, to soar high with the eagles, have an attitude of gratitude. So if it's something in the morning, 2 things, we always have things that we're grateful for. Even no matter how bad a day is, when I get into bed in the evening, I would always find something I'm grateful for, even if it's only the electric blanket these nights, which, you know, I'm grateful for it. You know, I mean, you know, I'm grateful for my health. Somebody said to me recently, you know, you need to write something. I'm putting up a new Skype address. And they said, you need to write something on it. And, you know, like you inspire people, whatever. And I just put up, I'm grateful for my health and my peace of mind. Because when you have those, you have everything.
Yeah. And to acknowledge as well our accomplishments. I now write down what I've accomplished every day and put it into a little box. And I'll be able to look back in a year's time, all the accomplishments I've had. It could be simple things. It's a really good thing. It's very like the gratitude, but you're acknowledging yourself in this process. But Yvonne, Marja has to leave now, but she said she missed, I think, because there's quite a few here that are not... English isn't their first language, so I think we need to speak a little bit slower. But she said here, one thing that Yvonne said I missed, she said that the heart feels before the mind thinks, and then you get something else from the heart. She doesn't, can you remember what you said there?
I said breathe from the heart.
Breathe from the heart. Okay.
Breathe from your heart. Initially, it can be a little bit tricky. Some people have said to me when I was teaching them how to do it, it's tricky, or it's a little bit hard at first. Other people find they just take to it easily. Either way, just learn to breathe from your heart. And when you're breathing from your heart, you're there.
Heart, yeah.
Thinking before the heart is feeling before the mind thinks.
Yeah. Do you want to just tell now about the event in Ireland, and then maybe we'll open up to questions and answers. I can put everybody on mute, and they can, whoever wants to ask a question, it's free to ask a question, because this is for you, to help you on your journey to be able to live your life.
What I'm doing, I'm running the first Future Life Progression in Ireland, and also the first one, which is encompassing self-awareness and empowerment. So I'm offering that. I'm offering that workshop. I still have a few places left. It's taking place in Galway, in an absolutely beautiful 4-star hotel called the Ardalan Hotel. It starts on Friday, March 3rd at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and it goes right through until Monday afternoon. And what we will be, about 4 p.m. on Monday afternoon approximately, we'll
I
finish.
think that'll be a bit less because there's quite a few. There's a few in London. We have to leave early. So just in case people international think, oh, it's 4 o'clock, I can't do that.
And we can.
So it'll be between, let's say, between 2 and 4. I think we have to. You have to.
We can start earlier. We can change lunch times. We can do whatever to accommodate, and that's why I said afternoon. You know, roughly.
Yeah, afternoon. Yeah.
And basically, I've been known to be a hard taskmaster. They say I am a friendly, fair, and firm in that I'm very approachable and open, but I do believe in giving, not only giving value for money, but if people come to any of my workshops, that they get the best possible advantage they can. So that's why I have organized the training from 3 p.m. on the Friday, with a get to know you session, 3:30 we kick off, and you will work from until 9 p.m. on Friday night, on Saturday night, and on Sunday night. So it's quite an intense program. So where I am covering everything that Anne Gersh has asked to be covered in terms of getting your certification, but I am also including the opportunity for you to work on yourself. So looking at self-awareness, development, and empowerment. You will be given all of the skills, the techniques that you require to be a highly sought after FLP practitioner. During that time, you will receive all of the documentation that you require, or all of the manuals, etc. I back everything up that I do. You will need to complete 5 case studies as part of the process. And I will be giving people the opportunity to work on one and certainly have the second one started during the weekend. I also would like people to do some Skype work over the weekend, because what I have found is that my business is absolutely transformed as a result of being able to take people through Skype in various different countries. Yeah. And from past experience with people, some people are fearful of technology if they haven't worked in it, they don't know if it works, etc. So give people the opportunity. So basically, all the skills that you require to become an FLP practitioner will be covered at that weekend, plus additional skills. And come prepared to work if you're interested. There is an offer going on at the moment where I have cut the normal rate by €450, and that ends this week. That ends, I think it's one day tomorrow or the day after, something. So that is where you will get €450 off the cost of the training. You have the option, if you wish to take shared accommodation or have your own room. And from the time that you arrive at the hotel, absolutely everything is paid for you. The only time you have to put your hand in your pockets if you choose to have a glass of wine or a drink in the evening. Other than that, everything is covered in the cost.
And how much is it again?
It's €1,190 if you share a room, and it's €1,250 if you want a single room.
And that's the early bird offer, which ends on Wednesday, is it?
It's Wednesday this week.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. And that's it. It will be come prepared. If you're interested, some people ask me, do you have to have a background as a therapist? Absolutely not. It is an advantage. I have found my background as a clinical hypnotherapist to be an advantage, but it is not necessary. And I will give you all of the skills that you require. I will work with you. We will work with me once you do your case studies, and I'm always just a call away. I will have a session with you, help you through the process, identify what, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses might be, give you that support. You will also be part of a global network of people who are being trained around the world. I mean, I am going to Slovenia in March, and Holland later on in April, May time. So there's, we are training people. I'm certainly training people. I know my colleagues are, and it's growing. And the beauty of what I'm doing is that you're going to be the very first in the world to be trained in this area. So it's certainly, I have seen from experience, certainly in the last few months when I really allowed FLP to take so much of my time, how fantastic it is and how much people want it.
So what I'll do is because everybody had to register for this, so I'll check the emails and I can give you the emails, and maybe you can just send out information to these people who have been watching it live, or anybody else afterwards who will be interested can get in touch. And I'll just unmute now, everybody. There's a few people had to leave, but I can unmute those who were left, just to see if there's any questions. Has anybody got any questions for Yvonne, or Have we covered everything? And did you find it useful?
Yes, very useful.
Great. So who's that?
It's Laura.
Hi, Laura.
How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm really. I mean, I'd love to do the training, but I'm not sure I'll be able to make it over in March. But I'd be really interested in having a session of FLP. So how would I go about doing that?
Sure. You just email me at yvonne@yvonnegriffin.com or inquiries@flpacademy.com. Either, Laura, we can set it up from there.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, Fab, I'll do that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Anybody else? No? Okay, so I hope that's helped everybody, just inspired everybody, given people an idea that, you know, sometimes it's not what we, you know, we think about, you know, we don't necessarily need one path. There's always many different paths to help us on our journey. And this is the year for everyone to be living their dreams. Now there's so much out there. And for me, I'm really looking forward to adding FLP to my toolkit in the work that I do. Thank you very much, everybody. Wishing you a fantastic rest of the day, and we'll be in touch. Bye.
Bye.